What's up, guys? It's so ice to see you again. Ha! I made an ice joke. Isn't that ice? Ice better stop now while I'm ice ahead of myself. Yeah, that last one didn't work, did it? Ice. It's what you pick if you want to survive a nuclear disaster. I'm okay. Health larger than the ego of a storm wizard who just learned glow bugs, and damage as weak as my ex-wife's will to commit to our relationship. Ice can be a very fun class to play. Ice can also be a very painful class to play. It all boils down to your approach and what kind of player you are. If you like being a supportive character, but also being able to stand your ground, Ice is the way to go.
Just look at him. He's so dreamy. I hear he has the highest health pool in the game, which makes him a good support, but he also has a sufficient amount of damage to be perfectly capable of soloing.
You think that's cool? I'm a myth wizard, and I can summon minions.
Get away from me, you freak!
The first word that comes to mind when I think of Ice is tank, because Ice is very much the tank of Wizard 101. The game makes sure to let you know your role, too. You're given many shield spells. The gear you get gives more health than any other school's gear, and the game doesn't even give you your school blade until level 38, which is the latest that any school gets their blade. This is done very strategically, albeit a little annoying. From the get-go, Ice Wizards are used to being very patient in their battles, and learning to slowly but surely decimate their enemies. Your damage is low, but you're able to survive long enough to chip away at your enemy's health, and they can't do anything about it. Ice can be split up into early game and late game. Let's talk about early game Ice. Ice at early game is a little bit underpowered. Low damage, low accuracy, and low self-esteem. Yeah, Ice definitely gets the short end of the broomstick early game. Sure, you have lots of health, but in exchange for garbage damage coupled with fizzling every other spell, Ice at low levels is easily the least powerful school. Life has the same damage as Ice, but 10% more accuracy, making Ice, at those low levels, objectively the worst school, especially when gameplay consists of hit this guy until he's dead, now hit this other guy until he's dead. I don't quite understand why Ice was given such low accuracy with such low damage. I feel like Ice would be a lot more balanced if it was just boosted to have a little bit more accuracy, like 85% accuracy, or keep the 80% accuracy and make the damage a little bit higher than Life's damage. Because the way it is right now, Ice is just a direct downgrade from Life in PvE levels 1 through 26, I would say. Because at level 26, Ice gets its first AoE when Life doesn't, and that makes it a little bit more different. Like, it's not really a straight downgrade anymore. You could argue which one is better, but level 1 through 26, Ice is literally just the worst school. Early game kind of lacks when it comes to strategy. Sure, there's some strategy involved, but not really enough to make different schools have their own identity yet. Kind of just leaving Ice as that one guy who does really low damage. But remember how I said Ice is a game of patiently playing out your battles? Ice is no different when it comes to leveling up. If you can be patient and wait for Ice to gain more of a sense of identity, it becomes a very fun class to play. Let's take a peek at late game Ice. Late game Ice is where the class's true colors start to shine. First of all, by this point in the game, you'll have better gear that defines your role a little bit better. Your health will now be significantly higher than other players, and you actually have really high resist, making you a seriously hard target to kill.
So, Wizard, you've resisted every spell I've thrown at you, but I still have this one trick up my sleeve. No one can resist this! Yes, Wizard! Dance until you drop dead! Oh no! Your dance moves! They're too fresh! I'm going to...
I just wanted to take a second to show off the stats of my level 152 Ice Wizard. He isn't the highest level, he doesn't have the best stats ever, but as you can see, he has 156 damage, which isn't too shabby, 21 accuracy, so he's never gonna fizzle. Piercing is not the best, the critical rating is not the best, but when you're in Ice, that's not the most important. You can see I have 110 power pip chance, so I'm always getting power pips, I'm never fizzling, And what is perhaps my favorite part of Ice is, check out this resist. 66 global resist. It isn't Jade Gear levels of resist, I don't have immunity to any schools, but 66 resist isn't something to write off when you also have 150 damage. Plus, if I were to pair this with a Fortify or a Brace, I would have even more resist. And that's a strategy I like to employ a lot. I like to get my resist up as high as I can. I know a lot of mobs in the later worlds have Pierce, but it still helps out quite a bit to have that much resist. Another part of late game Ice that makes it so much better than early game is how well the spells you gain access to flow with Ice's style, specifically astral spells. Say you're around a level 90 Ice Wizard. Your damage isn't the highest, but you're able to use Fortify, use 3 different feints on the boss, and tank the hits from the traps you put on yourself in return. You're able to take your time to buff yourself, and you're able to take risks such as putting 3 different feints on, as it's so much harder to kill an Ice Wizard than other wizards.
Do you have any sevens?
When you play Storm or Fire, you have to worry about using feints and taking too long to buff yourself, as it could lead to your demise. Ice is able to comfortably sit and buff themselves for several turns before having to worry about dying. This is the reason that Ice is more of a class for a patient person. Someone who wants to take the game at their own pace, as opposed to someone who wants to finish it as quickly as possible. How does Ice play in a team though? Well, Ice is kind of a weird one when it comes to team play. Oftentimes, many people want to designate the hitting role to Fire or Storm, and leave anything else as support. While Ice can make for a good support, it doesn't really feel like that's how it was meant to be played. I feel like I'm playing Ice right when I'm putting my enemies to shame, watching them desperately trying to chip my health down, all to no avail, all while I strategically plan my buffs as the enemy can't do anything but watch as I prepare to decimate them. With this being said, I think Ice is the most fun when you solo. Sure, team play is required sometimes, but having a heavy hitter on your team as an Ice almost feels like it takes the point away. It's sucking the fun and strategy right out of it. However, if you pair with maybe a Life Wizard or a Balance Wizard, that can lead to some fun times. See, I think schools like Ice are meant to be an alternative to the hit and kill as soon as possible strategy. Ice is supposed to be more of a thinking class, always thinking what your enemy's next move will be and how you can counter it. Sure, Ice can take hits for your team and give shields to people, but I truly believe that Ice shines when you solo or are with an odd pairing. I'm not saying that Storm or Fire isn't really fun either. I'm saying that it's almost a completely different game between picking an Ice Wizard compared to a Storm Wizard. And when you put Ice on a team with a heavy hitter, the heavy hitter's meta applies, and the strategy that Ice comes with gets watered down to shield the Storm, give him blades, and I just don't think that's the most fun. I understand that this might be a bit of a controversial take, but I just genuinely had more fun with my Ice Wizard when I soloed than when I played with other people. I feel like a lot of people trash on Ice, but it really has potential to be one of the most fun schools you can play. I just think the most important thing is playing how you want to play, and not letting other people determine your playstyle for you. Do this, and you will have the best experience you possibly can. See you later, Wizard Gators.